Today on the Hopefulist, long-term happiness and how to get there. A third of workers say they would give up a $5,000 raise in order to do this. And my tomato crop, has it bore fruit?
Welcome to the Hopefulist, a daily talk show hosted by veteran broadcaster Wendy McClure. Join Wendy each day as she shares her life lessons that transformed her from perpetual pessimist to the ultimate hopefulist. The perfect morning show to get you caught up on the day's top stories while sharing insights that will lead to positive transformation and bring out the hopefulist in you. For more inspiration, visit hopefulist.com. And now, here's your host and hopefulist, Wendy McClure.
Thank you for joining me on the Hopefulist today. It is Friday. It is the Labor Day weekend. We made it. We are here. It is time to party. We get a little break from our regular work lives. We get a little holiday to celebrate us and the work that we do and the jobs that we've had. And it's going to be a fantastic weekend weather-wise here at the Jersey Shore. I hope it's going to be great wherever you are because it's a winding down, people. It is a winding down. Now, if you checked out my Hopefulist page on Facebook or on Instagram yesterday, you saw that I posted a short video from the last concert of the season at the boat ramp in Chip Bottom. I went with my friends Dana and Rocco by boat. It's the only way to go to a concert is by boat. And, yeah, it's a little depressing. I tried to just be present, drink in the moments. It was an amazing sunset. I have a ton of pictures that I will bombard you with later. You know I will. But here we are. It is Cocktail Friday. We have made it to the freaking weekend. It is a long holiday weekend. I hope that you have lots of barbecues to go to. I hope you have a lot of relaxing in your next few days' future. And maybe you're doing a little getaway. Maybe you're going to hit the beach, or maybe you're going to take a road trip, or what have you. We discussed some of that yesterday. So I did get up early yesterday. Well, I get up at the same time every day, but I got my podcast done early so I could go check out the sunrise. And then I was able to see the sunset later when I was at the concert on the boat. So it's always kind of cool when I can see the sun rise and then the same day see the sun set, or what is kind of almost equally as cool as watching the sun set and then getting up to watch the sunrise in the morning because you're like, hey, I saw you not that long ago and there you are again. So yeah, it was nice. And you know, it's a little bit nicer now to catch the sunrise because it's coming up a little later. You know, when it's coming up at like 5:30, really got to drag your butt up to the beach. But now, yesterday it was 6:22, and it goes minute by minute. So today it will be 6:23. Tomorrow it'll be 6:24. So it's getting a little bit later until we have that time change in October. I believe it's October still, isn't it? No. I think it's November now. I get confused. It used to always be the same weekend as Halloween, but now they've moved it back. So I believe it is in November now, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I'll let you know when the time comes. And so then the daylight will be earlier again, but then it's going to be dark at 5 o'clock, which we all hate. I mean, it's just the worst. Am I right? It's the worst. But I do like the early morning light because I'm an early morning person. And it is kind of weird doing my podcast in the dark. Today, it is already light out. So I guess the sun hasn't officially come up because it's only 6:07. Yeah, I'm getting an early start because I have to hit the grocery store today. Oh, the grocery stores are so insane around here, especially on holiday weekends. They actually put a police officer at the ShopRite to kind of control traffic a little bit. So they open at 7. I will be there at 7 to try and get everything done and out of the way. Joe and I have figured out that going at 7 is usually not the best time to go because they don't have a lot of cashiers on at first. We have figured out that 8:30 is kind of the sweet spot where it's not too terribly crowded, but they're starting to add more cashiers where you don't have to wait in a long line. That's always been my big thing with ShopRite. ShopRite's annoying because it's super crowded, and you know how it is when it's super crowded. Like, people leave their cart in the middle of the aisle, and you got to, weave around people, and there's just people everywhere. But the great thing about the ShopRite that we go to, is they always have a ton of cashiers on. So you don't usually have to wait in a long line to check out. But that's not always the case when you go first thing in the morning. But this is the time to go because, like I said, it's going to be insane for the rest of the weekend. Nothing's worse than Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend is absurd with the grocery stores because so many people are coming down for the first time and they're stocking up for the whole summer. So everybody and, all of their relatives are at the grocery store trying to get everything they need, at least for that first week. Where now, at least, they've been here a while. They have a lot of their stuff that they've been using all summer. So it's pretty much just a normal shopping trip as opposed to stocking up for the whole summer. These are all my guesses anyway. I mean, I don't really know. I didn't take a poll. But speaking of polls, a study was done. 1/3 of workers say they would give up $5,000 a year in a raise in order to dress casual at work. As somebody who has always been able to dress casual, I think you people are crazy. $5,000. I'd take it. It's a lot of money. But I've had the luxury of wearing whatever I want to work for most of my career. I, a lot of times, wear my gym clothes to work. It's the only thing that actually gets me to stop at the gym on the way home. And I'm like, well, I'm already in my clothes. I might as well just stop and work out. So, but I was thinking that these workers probably spend about $5,000 on clothes to get professional looking, because they're expensive. Professional clothes are expensive, especially men's suits and such. Very expensive. So maybe that's what they're thinking is if we give up the $5,000, then we don't have to buy all of these fancy suits and dresses and all of this fancy stuff. And we get to just put on whatever we want every single day. The problem with that is, people are going to start showing up in their pajamas. You give people a little wiggle room and they take full advantage. Just my opinion. I'm so against the wearing the pajamas out in public. I just think it's the ultimate in laziness. I almost can give a pass, almost, to kids going to class in college because some of the classes are earlier or what have you. I really don't even think it's okay then because you know what? All you got to do is put on a pair of sweatpants. Put on a pair of stretch pants. Throw on a pair of jeans. You can't put on a pair of pants before you walk out the door in the morning? Come on. Stop being so lazy. Don't be lazy. All right. I'll get off my soapbox now. Just my opinion. Joe is the same way. He's so funny. He refuses. Because Joe and I both just wear like shorts or whatever or workout pants to sleep in. And he refuses to go anywhere, even down to the bagel store. I mean, I've gone down to the bagel store in the shorts that I've worn to bed because I'm going to the bagel store. It's just the bagel store. I'm not like, going out for the day or whatever. I'm just going to the bagel store for 5 minutes to get bagels. And then there's times that, Joe's like, you're wearing your pajamas. I'm like, nobody knows they're pajamas. Nobody knows because my pajamas aren't pajamas. So anyway, I will move on from that. But yeah, 1/3 of workers say they would give up a $5,000 a year raise in order to dress casual at work. Yeah, I guess it could be worth it. I personally would take the $5,000. But again, if you're going to spend that $5,000 on clothes, then maybe it's a wash. So I saw some tech news this morning. The new iPhones are being revealed next month. We are not the wait in line for the newest iPhone kind of people, especially now. They've gotten so fancy. Like before there was like one model. Now there's like 8 models of every, number we're on. Joe and I we're going to be paying for our phones for the next year anyway, because we had to do the lease deal because the phones have just gotten so outrageously expensive. I think I've told you before the story about the last phone we had was such a great deal. It spoiled us, and I kept waiting for a deal, and nothing happened. But when we got our last phones, we both got the 6S, so it was a while ago, and we had bought those phones. They were having a special for $1. His was $1, mine was $1. That was my first rose gold phone. I loved it. In fact, I have the red phone now because red's my favorite, and I kind of miss the rose gold. It's a little more elegant, a little more sophisticated than the red. So maybe for my next one, 4 years from now when I can afford an upgrade, maybe I'll go back to the rose gold. Anyway, we had purchased our phones, our 6S's, for $1 each, and Best Buy had given us $200 each for our old phones. So we actually made $398 that day, which I used to purchase the Apple Care for both of the phones, using my noodle there. And then I saved the others, the rest of it I eventually ended up spending it, but I was going to save it for emergency. But time kept ticking off, and I'm like, we still have these Best Buy gift cards. And they do. They don't necessarily expire, but I had a situation once where I waited so long, and I mean like 5 years, to use a gift card. They had to like reestablish them. They had to call the office and get this done and that done. And it was a pain in the butt, I got to tell you. So I ended up, I think, buying some Christmas gifts or whatever with those gift cards that we had received. But now we couldn't find a deal like that, so we had to do the lease deal. And we did get a deal. If you consider $17, $18 a month for a phone, a deal for each of us, which we have to pay for, I believe, 18 months. And then we either have to purchase the phone, which we will probably do, because then we'll have to upgrade to a phone that's like $32 or $35 a month. It's absurd to me, but I certainly won't be waiting in line for the new iPhone. I'm guessing you won't either, but who knows? Maybe you're a techie, and I don't want to speak for you. And if you have the kind of money to spend on that, if that's your priority, then I'm all for it. I don't know how much better they can get, honestly. We always say that. How much better can they get? It can't get much faster, right? You hit the button, everything's ready for you. So there you go. There is your tech news for this morning. I wanted to give you an update on my tomato crop. I haven't talked about them much all summer because there's not been much to talk about. I had started a couple from scratch out in the front, and my seagrass has just grown so crazy this year. It like literally just started falling over top of the tomato plants, and it killed them almost immediately. Then I got some more tomato plants that I put in a pot in the back. Now, these are what I'm not good at, is the planting the little plant from scratch and having it grow. Like, it always starts out good, but then I always get that little, I guess it's some sort of virus on the vines at the bottom, like the root part, where it gets those little bumps all over it, which I thought was from overwatering. So they were doing okay, but then the last couple of days we had some really windy conditions, and they always just seem dry. They always seem like they need water. But when I go to put water in them, it like puddles up right away. So I worry that I'm watering too much too fast. So I try to do it slowly and not that often. So it gets wilty a lot, the 2 tomato plants I have out in the pot. They get wilty. So I think what happened is they got a little wilty, and with the strong winds we've been having, all the leaves blew away. So I've got a couple of tomatoes hanging on there. I'm not sure how they're going to turn out. One of them is like